This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Let's go. Going to be a busy Sunday. A lot of ground to cover. A lot of things going on with a busy day in the National Hockey League on Saturday. Another bunch of games on Sunday. It's a kind of different week ahead because of scheduling with the Thanksgiving holiday. But oh yeah, there's a lot of stories that we want to get into. And a great lineup of guests to talk about all of them as well. Derek Wills, the radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, will be with us. We will talk about a big Flames come-from-behind victory on Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers. Probably some travel fashion because the Flames were decked out in pretty cool fashion attire for their road trip after the game in Philadelphia off to Washington, so we'll talk about that. The Vegas Golden Knights, one of the good stories in the first quarter of the NHL season. Jesse Granger covers the Vegas Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Sun. He will be with us in hour number 1 as well. St. Louis Blues came back, won a game last night against the Vancouver Canucks. The Blues remain hot. 4-3 OT win over the Vancouver Canucks. Andy Strickland, who covers the Blues for FSN Midwest, will be here with us. And, of course, it being Sunday, that means it is time for a little fantasy hockey help. And the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, Stephen Laidlaw, will be with us this week for the Fantasy 5 again. It's Sunday. It's the Fantasy 5. This is the only place that you will find it. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Oh, yeah. So it's a busy couple of hours ahead. As I mentioned, we had 13 games on the schedule. And as promised this weekend, we are at approximately the 1/4 mark of the NHL season. So we will have quarterly reports for all of the teams. I did a lot of reading. I didn't do a great deal of math because it's not my thing, but I did look up statistics, and I've kind of focused on a couple of statistics for each team. They're the same ones, but it kind of paints a picture for each of the teams. Some thoughts on how each of the 31 teams in the National Hockey League have performed. We'll do the East in hour number 1. We will get to the Western Conference in hour number 2, and we'll dig into it and undoubtedly stir up a little conversation and discussion. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. And yes, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is my email if you need more than the 280 characters. Now, we are streaming live every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, powered by Primetime Radio at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. You can download it now at the App Store. Did you enjoy Saturday in the NHL? Full slate of games, lots of afternoon contests. I enjoy that. I like that. Good menu of hockey. Afternoon contest, early afternoon, late afternoon in the Eastern time zone, then a bunch of 7 o'clock games and a couple of late starts as well. All good. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's kind of been blowing up on social media this morning. Do yourself a favor. I tweeted out the link to it on our account at Hockey Unfiltered. We'll put it up as well. We should put it up as well on our Facebook page. But on Saturday Night Live last night, I didn't see it live because I was watching hockey, but I caught it this morning. Chance the Rapper absolutely kills it as a hockey reporter. This may be the funniest thing I have seen all year. I've watched it a half a dozen times, and I keep laughing all the way through it. It is really funny. Regrettably, it's also strikingly accurate of some hockey reports, but that's another story. But it is really funny. At Hockey Unfiltered, we've tweeted out the link to it. Spend a few minutes watching it. It is really funny. Let's do that hockey. If you watch the clip or when you watch it, you'll understand. But let's do that hockey. It's hilarious. A great pregame ceremony, I thought, last night with the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs facing off at the Bell Center. It's celebrating the 100 years of the National Hockey League. It was nice prior to the Leafs and the Canadiens game. Evan Cornwallis was sitting on the Habs bench. David Keon was sitting on the Toronto Maple Leafs bench during warm-up, wearing their jerseys. It was really just a nice kind of simple thing they did. Then they introduced those two along with 4 other greats representing each of the 6 original teams in the National Hockey League. It's celebrating the 100th year of the National Hockey League, created 100 years ago. But what did I say about the game yesterday? So Toronto is in Montreal. If it goes bad, it could go really bad. If the Habs lose, It's going to look really bad. What did I say? Habs get dumped. It could be ugly. Well, it was bad and it was ugly and it's not going to end anytime soon. There's going to be a bit of a respite perhaps today because it's an off day for the Montreal Canadiens, much to the dismay of their head coach, Claude Julien, who in his postgame comments last night was very frustrated that because of the CBA, sorry to mention the CBA, but because of that, they have to have 4 off days a month. So today is an off day for the Montreal Canadiens. He would have liked probably to whip them around the rink for a couple of hours and skate them to death. I think they're beyond that, though. I don't think it's more practice or harder practice or bag skates as to what is needed to help the Montreal Canadiens. It's not that they don't have some good players or some talented players, but they have gone so far off track that it's not just simple structure and system things that need to be looked at. It's not about drilling it again and again in terms of system. And here's what we need to do. It is more than that. It is institutional failure. That's the problem with the Montreal Canadiens. They are an institutional failure. If you heard that, I guess it's a fine for me for leaving my phone on. I can fix it, or I believe I can fix it, but it's got to start way up high and it's got to go way down through the organization for the Montreal Canadiens. It's institutional failure. It's not just, oh, we don't have the right players or something like that. It's more widespread than that. There are teams that have gone through this and teams that have needed to fix things, and they've done it, but it takes time and it takes courage. And I'm not sure that that's within the organization right now. If you want to know how to fix it, I'll give you the quick overview. If you've listened to the program, you understand I've not been a fan of Marc Bergevin and what he has done. I think he's made a mess. He's not the only problem, though. He's done a terrible job. He has made bad trades, bad choices, bad decisions, and it is now being reflected in the team that is out there and what they are offering. He has not built a team. He has built a giant mess, and it will take a very long time to fix. This is not, I don't want to say that this is in the, oh, well, we need to tear it down and do a big rebuild. It is much more widespread than that. It is a revamp and restructure of the entire organization. It will take time, it will take courage, and it will take a lot of patience from fans and from those in Montreal. Montreal's a unique market. They'll be the first to tell you that. There is the dominating French influence that has an overriding impact on all decisions made with the team. French is significant. You have to have bilingual coach, bilingual general manager. That is the way it has been, or that is the way it has been dictated by many for so long, for too long. It has been deemed a must. The coach, the general manager, they must be bilingual. I think it's time to change. And no, I'm not just saying that, oh, well, you should hire someone who speaks only English. It's far deeper than that. You do need a bilingual team principle. As so many teams have changed their structure and gone to a president, general manager, coach type of structure, that's what the Montreal Canadiens have to do. They have to have a president of hockey operations. That person has to be bilingual. That person has to be the face of the franchise. That person is the one that everything will run through. Then that person who has to be of enormous strength and character and patience and be able to resist all outside forces that are going to be pulling and tugging at them has to make the right choices for the team. They have to hire the right general manager who will make the right choices, like hiring the correct coach, regardless of whether or not they can speak French. Oh, sure, if you're coming into that market, it would be smart as an Anglophone to speak and try to learn how to speak more French, but it shouldn't be a prerequisite for that job. If you have the president of hockey operations of the Montreal Canadiens who is bilingual, who does represent the French culture and history of the team and the city and the province, that's what you need to do. And like other teams in Canada who have undergone significant change, Edmonton, Toronto most recently, there is a total reorganization of team personnel. I'm not just talking about hockey operations either. I mean, right through the entire organization. It was talked about briefly, mostly by people in the media, when the Toronto Maple Leafs and Brendan Shanahan came in and cleared out a whole bunch of staff. It wasn't just hockey operations staff, though. They've turned over a lot of their game day staff. Their presentation in the building is different. They also turned over an awful lot of office staff, which is media and PR people. That's got to happen as well. Because right now, it's a little bit like others outside the organization are dictating how things are done. You must do this. You have to do that. You have to have a certain amount of accessibility. No, you dictate the terms on how things are delivered. And that's not by putting up a wall and saying we're not talking to anyone and doing anything. You have to understand how it's done. But that's where many of the leaks come from as well. That's where all the little stories and speculation and rumors also come from, is from inside the organization. That's why the big house cleaning is needed. Toronto got ripped a bit for getting rid of their PR staff, their media staff. It was the best thing they did. Montreal's got to do that too. Montreal has to have a whole system organization change, and it's going to take a person of strong character to do it. They must be bilingual to be at the top, and then hire the best people, regardless of whether they speak French, English, or both. That's going to be the hard part, getting to that point. A couple other quick things as well. A bit of news that really isn't officially news, but it became official yesterday. The Hawks and the Boston Bruins will play an outdoor game. Yes, after a ridiculously long one-year absence from outdoor games, the Chicago Blackhawks will be back playing outdoors again January 1st, 2019. As we told you a couple weeks ago now, it's Boston, it's Chicago at Notre Dame. Yeah, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be a nice event. It'll be good. Hawks are in it because they're good corporate citizens, and it's in good proximity. So there you go. All right. Seems like we're kind of jumping ahead to get that information out. Hawks played in Pittsburgh on Saturday night. How about the good game Saturday afternoon between two of the top teams in the league? The New Jersey Devils and the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah. Those Jets are pretty good too. Tampa Bay showed that they are not perfect, but they are also very good. They came back, made quite a game of it against the New York Islanders on Saturday night. Pretty good. We will get to quarterly reports. In this hour, it will be Eastern Conference teams, and in the next hour, it will be Western Conference teams, quarterly reports. Just some thoughts, just a look at the records, a look at all 31 teams in the National Hockey League. Also coming up on the program, Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. Stephen Laidlaw will be with us. Andy Strickland will join us in hour number 2. We'll talk about the St. Louis Blues. Jesse Granger will join us and talk Vegas Golden Knights, who have a game hosting the Los Angeles Kings on Sunday evening. And in the next segment, Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, will join us. We will talk about the Flames, how their season has gone so far, a big comeback victory against the Philadelphia Flyers, and definitely some fashion advice as well. Let's do that hockey. Hashtag SNL. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. We'll talk Calgary Flames with Derek Wills right after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is
1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Sunday edition here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Busy show today, lots to get into with a very hectic Saturday in the National Hockey League with 13 games, 5 more today, and a bunch of other stories as well. Our next guest, we enjoy when he comes to visit, and I'm really happy that he's here today because his team's been in the news, and boy, they did something yesterday that was an awful lot of fun. Derek Wills is the radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames. You can follow him on Twitter at fan960wills. And if you are following him, as you should be, you saw a tremendous photo that he tweeted out yesterday with the Calgary Flames set to board the train to head to Washington. Derek, I don't know whose idea it was to dress in those 50 suits and hats and everything, but you guys looked fantastic.
Well, I can't take any credit for it because, A, it wasn't my idea, and B, I wasn't dressed up in a 1950 suit. But the guys certainly did look fantastic. I think Glenn Gulletson probably came up with the idea and then likely brought it to Captain Mark Giordano, and he took it from there. But the guys look fantastic, and I'll tell you, Todd, the train ride from Philadelphia to Washington this season was a lot more enjoyable than the train ride from Montreal to Ottawa last season. The Flames had lost their fourth straight game, got blown out by the Canadians. I think 5-1 was the final score in that one, and it was a kind of a come-to-Jesus moment as Gulletson laid into his team after that game at Bell Center, and it was kind of a turning point. The guys seemed to talk it out and figure it out on that train ride. But yesterday it was more about playing cards and having fun after a big come-from-behind win over the Flyers.
It's amazing how something like this. I was going to ask if you were wearing the garb because I didn't see you in the hat and everything. I thought this was a terrific idea. I think you're right that it was a good train ride too because they had the victory and a nice comeback victory against the Philadelphia Flyers on Saturday. But this is one of the things that you do when you're a team and spend so much time together, and having this closeness and helping bring a team together. It will serve them well, I believe, as the season goes on.
Yeah, I would think so. And you like to see the guys get together and come up with these ideas and then execute the ideas. And they had a blast doing it, and it almost became a competition of sorts, which things tend to do when you're talking about professional athletes because they're all competitive, and not just when they're on the ice, but when they're off the ice as well. But, you know, Johnny Gaudreau, who's been an absolute monster for the Flames this season, looked fantastic. And, you know, guys were going online and ordering these multicolored shoes. And Chris Versteeg, I'm not sure if he looked like he was a mob hitman or someone from the 1950s, but the effort certainly was there. But a ton of fun for the Flames doing that. And again, way better when you're coming off a win than a loss.
Yeah, one other thing I want to go back to is the one game suspension from Matthew Tkachuk. I thought the way General Manager Brad Treliving dealt with it was perfect. He made his point and said we disagree with it, and he defended Matthew Tkachuk in the hearing. But then he said, you know what? This is the decision. We have to respect it, and it's done. We have to move forward now. And I think that was the right thing for the Flames to do: move forward and not worry about it, because now it's over.
Yeah, there was nothing they could do about it after the fact, but I can tell you that they weren't very happy about what happened in Detroit on Wednesday night for a couple of different reasons. Number one, they got blown out 8-2 by the Red Wings, and the Flames simply weren't good enough in that game. Now, they didn't get a lot of bounces either, but they didn't necessarily deserve to get any. They were simply not good enough in that game against the Red Wings, but things got out of hand in the third period, and it all kind of started when Brett Kulak got his hands up in the face of David Booth, and for some reason, Luke Witkowski took exception to that. It was something you see probably 100 times a game, but Witkowski was looking to pick a fight, so basically forced Brett Kulak to fight. And Witkowski is a tough guy, 210 pounds. Kulak's, in his first full season in this league, 187 pounds, and that did not sit well with the Flames, that he basically got forced to fight. So that led to a confrontation between the two benches. Jimmy Howard got involved. Luke Witkowski was asked to leave the ice by the officials, took a couple of steps down the tunnel towards the Red Wings dressing room, and then Matthew Tkachuk reached out with his right arm and poked the back of his skate. And that was Matthew Tkachuk being Matthew Tkachuk, and that's what he's been doing for his whole hockey career, and it's one of the reasons why Flames fans love him, and teams of the other 30 fans of the other 30 teams tend to hate him. But Witkowski comes back on the ice, which is an automatic 10-game suspension, but that certainly didn't help settle things down. What really bothered me, and I don't know if you saw the video that I tweeted out, Todd, was actually shot by a fan at Little Caesars Arena who had his cell phone focused in on the scoreboard. But when the two teams were kind of milling around between the benches, Travis Hamonic got into a fight with Anthony Mantha. The Red Wings bench door was open, and Mantha pushed Hamonic backwards over the kick plate into the bench door and then climbed on top of him and started absolutely pounding him. And Hamonic was defenseless. I was told that not only was he getting punched in the face, his face was being scratched. So that kind of stuff is way over the line for me. If you want to fight on the ice, that's one thing. But taking it off the ice and continuing to hit a defenseless player, that is quite another thing for me. So I know that didn't sit well with the Flames either, but nothing they can do about it now. They just got to accept the punishment. Tkachuk served his one game already. They found a way to win that game, so you move on from there.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I thought that there might be more fines and or punishment from some of the other antics that went on as well, but it looks like everybody's ready to move forward, including the Calgary Flames, who are getting set for their game in Washington on Monday. I do want to touch on that comeback victory against Philadelphia, too, because what a game that Sean Monahan had, scoring a bunch of goals. You mentioned Johnny Gaudreau, who's been terrific, but Sean Monahan had himself a nice day yesterday, too.
Yeah, hard to believe, Todd, that with all the goals he's scored in his first 4 NHL seasons, with this being his fifth, that was his first career hat trick in the league. I was actually surprised by that, and trust me, I do a lot of digging to find interesting stats about these guys before each and every game, and I wasn't even aware that it was his first career hat trick. I guess I just assumed that he had one before, but yeah, Monahan scores 3 yesterday, and his team needed him because they've been absolutely getting killed on special teams, especially on the penalty kill. Their penalty kill going into yesterday's game, Todd, was operating at below 50% over a 10-game stretch. I mean, a below 50% penalty kill is not going to allow you to win a lot of games in this league. So it's a miracle that the Flames have won more than they've lost this season with the way their special teams have struggled in a lot of games. But, they were down 3-1 late in the first period yesterday, and Mike Smith makes an incredible stop on Sean Couturier, who got a shorthanded breakaway. That would have made it 4-1, and that probably would have been lights out. But he makes that stop, keeps the Flames within striking distance, and then Sean Monahan scores not once, not twice, but thrice on the power play in the second period to get the Flames back to even, first at 3 and then at 4. So, yeah, big game for Sean Monahan. But you know what? He wasn't even the Flames' best player yesterday. Johnny Gaudreau was unbelievable again. And Todd, just when I think this guy can't get any better, he does. He has taken his game to a whole new level this season.
That is good news for Flames and the Flame fans as well. Derek Wills is with us, Calgary Flames radio play-by-play voice. At Fan960Wills is how you follow him on Twitter. Flames getting set to go into Washington to take on the Capitals coming up on Monday. The other player I want to ask about is Mark Jankowski, since he's been called up as well. He seems to be settling in as you would expect with a player who's taken a lot of time to develop. There's going to be a little bit of a growing and learning process, but he seems to be moving forward at a pretty comfortable rate for the Flames right now in their lineup.
Yeah, they're pretty happy with him, and right now he's centering their third line. He's got Sam Bennett on his left wing and Jaromir Jagr on his right side, and you got 3 former first-round picks all playing together on that line. And Jankowski's going to have some ups and downs, as most young players in the league do. But he's a guy who's got great size. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I'm trying to find my way into the Capitals practice rink, and there seems to be a lot of noise out here and a lot of construction. So
no worries.
But Jankowski's a guy who had to be very patient to get his chance to play in the NHL. It came 5 years after he got drafted in the first round back in 2012, and finally got his first game last season and looked fine. Had to start this year at the AHL level, despite the fact that most people inside even the Flames organization would tell you that he was good enough during training camp in the preseason to earn a job to start the season. It was just a numbers game. The Flames were healthy and didn't have a spot for him. So goes down to the Stockton Heat, plays extremely well to start the season, gets called up, and I think he probably will remain in the NHL for the rest of his career. He's a guy who's got all the skill that you'd want. He's a really intelligent kid. He's a really mature guy. And right now playing between 2 talented guys in the Flames, they weren't happy with all the line juggling that was going on early in the season. They were trying to find combinations that worked, and outside of Monahan and Gaudreau in the first line, they were looking for a right winger for those guys. But outside of those 2 guys and then having the 3M line of Michael Backlund, Matthew Tkachuk, and Michael Frolik, they just couldn't seem to find any combinations that worked. But they like the looks of this line. They're going to leave it together for a little while. And, hey, you've got to feel pretty good if you're Sam Bennett and Mark Jankowski, 2 young guys in the league, playing with the oldest guy in the league who's still pretty darn good at 45, Todd.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is where are we in the Jaromir Jagr experiment going forward? This lineup that you have now with he and the 2 youngsters. It seems like things are okay for the time being. We'll have to see how it goes moving forward, I guess.
Well, they've been better than okay in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 games. Now, I didn't think those guys were very good against the Red Wings last Wednesday, but then again, there weren't many Flames that were above water in that game. But, I thought they had 2 pretty good periods against the Flyers yesterday. They were fantastic in the final 2 games of the Flames' season-long 7-game homestand. Crazy stat for you, Todd. Prior to those 2 games, you know how many goals the Flames had from their bottom 6 forwards on the season?
No.
0, which is unbelievable. It's incredibly hard to believe that that's the case. Chris Versteeg was the only guy who's played in the bottom 6 who had scored a goal prior to those final 2 games of their homestand, and he scored one of those goals on the power play. He plays in the first unit. He scored the other goal when the lines got juggled and he was playing with Sean Monahan and Michael Furland on the first or second line. So they didn't get any goals from their bottom 6 until 5 games into their homestand. But that line has a lot of talent and a lot of ability. Jagr's not quick anymore. I think if you watch games, you can see that pretty clearly. But, he's still got such a unique ability to protect the puck. He still sees the game as well as anybody in the league, and he's great at making plays. And I've got to admit, it was one of the thrills of my broadcast career, Todd. As a kid who, at 15 years old, collected this guy's hockey cards to call one of his goals. He scored his first goal in Calgary, and Flames fans were waiting for it. They would buzz every time he had the puck at his stick. So that was a pretty incredible experience for everybody at Scotiabank Saddledome, including me. What a thrill to call a Jaromir Jagr goal, and I don't think it's the last one I'll be calling this season.
Yeah, you're probably right, and understandable that would be an exciting moment. Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, at Fan960Wills on Twitter to follow him. Enjoy DC, and good luck to you and the Flames the rest of the way. Derek, I look forward to chatting again soon.
Sounds good, Todd. Talk soon.
Derek Wills, play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames. And yeah, he digs deep for stats like that. Holy smokes. No goals from the bottom six. Yeah, that's going to make your progress tough. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Lots to get into in a busy program, a couple of hours to go. And we will have quarterly reports for all 31 teams in the NHL East in this hour we'll get to, and we'll work into the West in hour number 2. Before we take the break, we'll remind you that Jesse Granger is coming up to talk Vegas Golden Knights. Andy Strickland is coming up to talk St. Louis Blues. And Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design, industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Lots to get to today on the program. Andy Strickland will join us in the next hour talking St. Louis Blues. Stephen Laidlaw coming up with the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Quarterly reports on all the teams in the NHL and much more. Happy to welcome to the program Jesse Granger, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Sun. You can follow him on Twitter at Jesse Granger _. And Jesse, how nice is it that there is some good, positive, healthy news for the Vegas Golden Knights with Malcolm Subban getting back to health?
Yeah, it'll be nice to finally get these guys back. It looks like Oscar Dansk may be getting a little closer too. Fleury, obviously, with the concussion, it's tough to tell, but for a team that's been probably the healthiest in the league as far as the skating positions go, it's nice to finally get a goalie back.
Yeah, this is something that Vegas, I'm sure, will be able to exhale and enjoy just a little bit. It still is remarkable. We're a quarter of the way through the season with all the injuries that they've suffered at goaltending, but the enthusiasm the Vegas Golden Knights have played with and the success they've been able to have through the first part of the season as well.
Yeah, they've been really, really good at home. T-Mobile Arena, I don't think a lot of people thought that they'd have that kind of a home ice advantage right out of the gate. But T-Mobile Arena has been loud every night. There have been quite a few opposing fans in there, which was to be expected, but the Golden Knights have played incredibly well in Vegas.
Is it simply the enthusiasm of something new? They've all been come together from separate organizations and different teams, and just kind of everybody's bonded and been able to get together really quickly and realize that maybe the other teams didn't necessarily want us or were able to keep us, and we just have to make the best of our new situation moving forward.
I think that's absolutely got a lot to do with it. These guys play with the chip on their shoulder. You know that when a guy gets traded in the offseason, or when a guy leaves a team that he's been with for a long time, when he plays that former team, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And the Golden Knights are in a unique situation where they have that pretty much every night. Almost every game they play, they've got a guy on their team that is a former player of them, and the other guys on the team want to win that game for that player. And it's unique for the Golden Knights. And also, that guy we were talking to him the other day, and that guy for the former team can give a pretty good scouting report on his former teammates. So there's never going to be a line that they don't have a decent scouting report heading into the game with.
That's a great point. That you're right. You get some pretty good scouting reports, and there is that extra jolt of adrenaline that players get when they do face their former team. Not to mention the fact that Vegas got themselves some pretty good players, and we have seen that. James Neal, who came out and scored some huge goals in the first few games for the Vegas Golden Knights, has continued to score at a pretty good rate for this team all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got 10 goals. He's pretty far out there for leading the team in goals. And the guy that nobody's really talking about is David Perron, who leads the team in points with 6 goals and 11 assists. And he's right now in the middle of a career-long 6-game point streak. And he's going to try to keep that going tonight against the Kings here in Las Vegas. And Perron has played just as well, if not better, than James Neal.
I was just going to ask you about him, and it's interesting that those two players are up at the top of the point statistics for the Vegas Golden Knights. Those are the two players that are probably also going to get the most talk in terms of potential trade for the next few months, because they're both pending unrestricted free agents as well.
Absolutely. And these guys are probably, I mean, if they were to tell George McPhee that they wanted to sign long-term in Vegas, I think he'd give it a thought. Perron is only 29. It's not like he's an old man. James Neal's only 30. But I just don't think that these guys are probably thinking that they want to be in Vegas long-term. That James Neal's a guy that seems like he probably wants to go to an immediate contender in the offseason. And I don't know if the Golden Knights are willing to give him that long-term contract. So you want to get something for him. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either or both are moved.
Has George McPhee talked about that's great to have this early success? The Vegas Golden Knights find themselves in a playoff position, but we are only a quarter of a way through their first NHL season. There still seems to be the long-term look on the horizon for Vegas, that this is a process and it's going to take time for us to be a consistently good team, not just a team that has flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, George McPhee has built this team the right way, and he's been pretty steadfast from the very beginning that this team's being built to win 3, 4, 5 years down the road, not right now. When he went into that expansion draft, there were a lot of teams that he could have taken really good players on, but he passed on them in favor of draft picks or in favor of prospects. An example is the Minnesota Wild. He could have taken Brodin or Dumba on the blue line. Instead, he took a guy in Alex Tuck, who is now, in my opinion, the best player on the team, but a young prospect, and a guy like Eric Haula. He got a guy like Shea Theodore from the Anaheim Ducks. They had 3 first-round picks in this past draft. They have 2 future ones coming up in the next couple drafts, a bunch of second-round picks. This team is definitely building for the future, and if James Neal and David Perron can get them a couple more high draft picks, I'm sure he won't hesitate to pull the trigger.
Jesse Granger is with us, covers the Vegas Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Sun. At Jesse Granger _ is how you follow him on Twitter. Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings a little bit later on today. How is the reception of the team now that we're into the season within the city and surrounding area of Vegas? It seems like the atmosphere inside the building is great, understandably, because they've been winning an awful lot of home games and scoring a whole bunch of goals in the process of doing so. But how is the team being received by the city, and is there an excitement? Is there a fan base that you feel is starting to build?
Absolutely. I've been shocked by it. I knew that this city was hungry for pro sports. I did not expect this type of a reception, especially for hockey. If it would have been an NBA team, I would understand, because this city has a long history with basketball, with the Runnin' Rebels and Tark and all that. I have been pleasantly surprised with how this city is taken to the hockey team. There are a lot of people out there that are from Vegas. Is obviously a transplant city. Not a lot of people here were born here. They've all moved from somewhere else, and a lot of them came from hockey towns. There's a lot of people from Chicago and Detroit and cities like that that have been hungry for hockey, and now that they've been watching their teams from afar, but now that they have a team to call their own, everybody here is pretty excited about it.
Would that be a similar situation to other franchises that have arrived, going back many years? Los Angeles, there are lots of people that moved to California and Southern California that weren't born there but came from hockey areas. Florida as well. Tampa Bay Lightning, now in the league for a quarter of a century. Same thing. There was a lot of talk about, well, how is hockey going to work in Florida? But they have built a fan base, and quite frankly, who cares if it's by people that have moved from out of state and now have established themselves here?
Yeah, absolutely. The challenge for the Golden Knights is going to be to convert all those people that are from Chicago or from Detroit from being Red Wings fans to being full-time Golden Knights fans. Because at T-Mobile Arena every night, like, for example, the Winnipeg game last week, I would say was probably 80% Jets fans, and that's partly some people that moved here, but it's also everybody wants to come to Vegas. Flights are cheap. There's lots of hotel rooms. People will plan a trip around their hockey team visiting the Golden Knights, and they come out here and play. So it's kind of a good thing, because it's a built-in mechanism to where even if the Golden Knights can't sell tickets in Vegas, they're still going to sell out their arena pretty much every night. But it's also, obviously, you'd like home ice advantage. You'd like the arena to be filled with your own fans.
Sure, understandably so. And just one more before I let you go, that it seems that with the tragedy that took place in Las Vegas as well at the beginning of October, just prior to the start of the season, how the team reacted, how the team and the players themselves and the rest of the organization wanted to be part of the community and part of the healing process and help wherever they could, I think has also gotten a lot of attention from a lot of people.
Yeah, that event was obviously really unfortunate, but it formed a bond between this city and this team that otherwise could not have happened this quickly. It takes most teams years to maybe even decades to become a part of the community. People need to see that team go through struggles, go through losing seasons in order to really feel attached to that team. And the way that all of that went down, the players going to Metro Police headquarters and meeting with the first responders, going to the convention center where families of the victims were being held, going to the blood drives, talking to people that were waiting in line for hours to donate blood. Just the way that whole thing happened, like I said, it formed a bond that otherwise would not have been able to happen that quickly.
Credit to the whole organization. Our thoughts are with the Las Vegas city and the people there as well. Jesse Granger from the Las Vegas Sun, at Jesse Granger _ to follow him on Twitter. Thanks for the time and the info today, Jesse. I hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Jesse Granger covering the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas hosting the Los Angeles Kings in one of 5 on the Sunday schedule. Isles in Carolina, Colorado, Detroit, Ottawa and the Rangers, Florida and Anaheim, the other 4 on the schedule. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. A lot to get to today. Quarterly reports for the East and the Western teams coming up. In fact, we'll do the East in the next segment. As a matter of fact, promised in this hour, we'll squeeze them all in. And also coming up in the next hour, Andy Strickland talking St. Louis Blues and Stephen Laidlaw with the Fantasy 5, #Fantasy 5. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis Sunday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. We are streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio, every Saturday, every Sunday. We're live on Facebook. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for tuning us in on Periscope, on YouTube Live. We appreciate the positive response. If you have questions, we like that too, but we're glad that you're tuned in and enjoying real hockey talk instead of the pablum crap that is so prominent in other areas. We are having some fun on social media today too. We tweeted out or retweeted Derek Will's photo of the Calgary Flames, who were traveling in funky suits from the 50s yesterday on the train ride. Also, if you haven't seen it, Chance the Rapper covering hockey. Let's do that hockey. It was a very good skit from SNL last night. Lots to get to today. Andy Strickland will join us. We'll talk the St. Louis Blues, and also coming up this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Okay, promised them since last week or yesterday or in both. Quarterly reports on teams in the East, quarterly reports on teams in the West. Let's go. We'll start at the Metro Division. New Jersey Devils up on top, 11-5-3 after a hot start. Nice injection of speed into their lineup. They have skill, they have youth, they have enthusiasm, and they use the element of surprise to their advantage. Nobody figured the Devils are going to be this good. Only 4 wins in their last 10 games, though. Something to keep an eye on. Maintaining their type of play, their style of play, their successful play through the next 20 games will be key for the New Jersey Devils. Columbus Blue Jackets, here's one of the teams we talked about at the start of the year, playing with expectations. Sergei Bobrovsky has been brilliant. It's like he has a Save of the Year candidate every time he is out on the ice. He has been that good for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their power play sucks. Worst in the league. Cam Atkinson signed to the big long-term deal this week. Defense has been good. That's something to build on. If Sonny Milano could figure out how to score, that would help the Blue Jackets. It would also help me in my hockey pool. Pittsburgh Penguins, 11-8-3, third in the Metro. They have some questions. Backup goaltending, they're okay now. Tristan Jarry was called up. Still might make some moves as the season goes along. But after 2 very long seasons, 2 successful Stanley Cup runs, I think they're okay. Little defensive help maybe for the penalty kill. They have had some struggles with that. They can't go on with a terrible penalty kill, but that's something that will get sorted out. New York Islanders. Bit of a surprise, bit inconsistent at times, but they have showed enough to believe that they've got enough to have a bit of success, maybe sneak their way into the postseason. John Tavares has been a monster. Consistent goaltending will help them. It seems like they're trying to figure out who's going to be number one, or whether or not they have a number one, whether it's Halak, whether it's Greiss, whether it's some sort of combination of both. But they've surprised a little bit. Washington Capitals, everybody knew they're going to be interesting to watch this year. Big turnover after 2 years of going for it. Some injuries, especially on defense, have hurt them, along with the personnel changes. Ovi had the hard start. If they can spread out a little scoring, that would certainly help the Washington Capitals. But they're hanging around. Carolina, the Hurricanes' numbers are skewed a little bit because they've only played 18 games, not 20 like many of the teams, or more than 20. They've coughed up some leads. They've lost some points in the standings because of it. They have to fix that. Sebastian Aho has started to score. That will help them. Scott Darling has been okay at times. Other times looks like he's a bit unsettled and seems to be swimming. But he's a battler. The Rangers, 9-2. Shaky start, winning streak, back around 500. Now they've lost a couple of games. Defensive structure and deciding on combinations for defensemen has been a work in progress for the Rangers. Fingers were being pointed at Alain Vigneault. How long can Hank be as good as he has been? Philadelphia Flyers, bottom of the division, 8-4. Disappointing to say the least. Metro's got some good teams. They have a top-heavy line, Couturier, Voracek, Giroux, getting so much of the offense. They need to spread that around. The loss of Braden Shen is big. They didn't have somebody to backfill there. They were hoping they did. Patience, though. You've got good young talent on the team and in the system. I know that's what Flyer fans don't want to hear, but patience will serve you well. Tampa Bay Lightning, 15-3-2. Stamkos and Kucherov, along with Nemestikov, are frightening. Power play, 28%, first in the league. Not only do they score, they don't let the opposition score. Goals against, one of the lowest in the league. Can they maintain this pace? They have been scary good. Toronto. The Maple Leafs are 14-7-0, 6 straight wins, 4 of them without Austin Matthews. Their defense has improved significantly in the last couple of weeks. They humiliated the Habs at home on Saturday. Management will continue to preach, and they should. They haven't won anything yet. We got a long way to go. We're still figuring it out. We're still moving forward. We still got to get better. Exactly the right approach. Ottawa Senators. Only 18 games played, 2 of them in Sweden, but 5th in goals scored. That surprised me a little bit. They are a team of discipline and structure and hard work, and it works for them. They don't have the most talent. They are not a spend-to-the-cap team. They perform as a unit, and they do it well. If they do what Guy Boucher says and what he wants, they can beat anyone, as they showed by almost making it to the Cup Finals last year. Matt Duchene is an upgrade for Kyle Turris. We'll see how long it lasts. Are they deep enough to go deep? That's going to be the question going on for the Ottawa Senators moving forward this season. Are they a deep enough team to go deep in the playoffs? Detroit Red Wings, 10-8-2 through 20 games. They've surprised me a little bit. I had them pegged for a lottery team. Didn't think they were good enough. Didn't think they were going to be quick enough. I thought they were stuck and didn't make enough change in the offseason. Now, they have surprised me to this point. Let's see where they wind up. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but they're young players in Athanasiou, Larkin, Mantha. They've carried them. Henrik Zetterberg has been good at times. Jimmy Howard has provided them good goaltending at times. That's kept them in games. Defense is a question, especially with some of the injuries that they've had on defense. They're a bubble team at best. And I think that's the best thing they can hope for this season. Hang around. Boston Bruins have been hammered by injuries. Krejci, Backes, Marchand is out now. It has been tough. Tuukka Rask hasn't been great. Anton Hudobin has gotten back-to-back starts because the Boston Bruins need to start winning some games somehow. They need wins or they're going to get buried. 8, 7, and 4 at the moment. They have some good young talent on the roster and in the system as well. And in the tradition of great Boston Bruins defensemen, Charlie McAvoy is a star in waiting. Just watching him play, boy, is he ever good. And he's only going to get better. Montreal Canadiens, 8, 11, and 2. I think that record is somewhat flattering. The stats tell the story. Their power play, 27th. The penalty kill, 28th. Goals for, 30th. Goals against, 3rd. 3rd most in the NHL. They have some talented players, but they have a flawed roster. They have not built a team, but rather tried to put pieces together to make a puzzle. They haven't been able to make it fit. Yes, it started with the PK Subban trade. This will not end well for Marc Bergevin. I said it at the time. It was the beginning of the end for him. And the death spiral is on in Montreal. I don't see any way that they can pull out of it without tumultuous turnover and change to get them moving in the right direction. 2 more teams in the East. Florida Panthers, 7, 10, and 2. They're worse than I thought. Watch them play, because that happens to be the television zone that I live in particular, so I get a lot of Florida Panthers games and watch them. It took Dale Talon a few years to build up a respectable team, get back into the playoffs, and they had that outstanding season a couple of years ago. It only took 1 year for mismanagement and ownership to screw it up. It will take time to fix this. It's not going to be an instant fix. They made a big mess of this team in a very short period of time, and it's going to take Dale Talon a little while to fix it. Goaltending is a long-term question for the Florida Panthers because Bobby Lou's not going to be around forever, and I don't know that James Reimer is the answer, and I don't think they've got much in the system. They have some work to do before they're going to be able to climb back. Buffalo Sabres, 5, 11, and 4. It is not pretty. I'll give Tim Murray credit for being bold and taking some swings and making some moves as a general manager. Now Jason Botterill is going to have to undo a few of them. He's going to have to find his way and build his team. The question is going to be, how much time is he going to get to do so? They have a few good players. Everybody's pointing at Evander Kane right now. Should he stay? Should they sign him? Should they trade him and get assets? It's going to take more time to fix this team. I know this isn't what Buffalo wants to hear. I know this is not what Buffalo fans want to hear. They have some good players, but they got a lot of frustrated players right now too. And that's going to be an issue moving forward. How to bottle up that frustration and put it behind you and not worry about the history and what's gone on in the past and getting yourself pointed in the right direction. That's going to be the tough thing. That's a quick whip through the Eastern Conference. We will zip through a quick quarterly report on the Western Conference in the next hour. Andy Strickland will join us and we'll talk Blues. Stephen Laidlaw, of course, coming up as well with the Fantasy Five and a bunch of other topics that we'll get to. We'll look ahead to some games on the schedule this week and much more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 D's. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova product design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova product design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova product design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova product design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Let's go with hour number 2. Lots to get into this hour. Quarterly reports from the Western Conference teams. We did the first hour. We did the East in the first hour. Oh, we'll get to a whole bunch of stuff. Also coming up, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, the only place to get the Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5. 5 names for you to keep in mind that will help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Also this hour, St. Louis Blues Rinkside reporter for FSN Midwest, Andy Strickland, will join us. Latest on the Blues. Blues had a nice win last night over the Vancouver Canucks in overtime. A busy Saturday with 13 in the National Hockey League. Really enjoyed it. Lots of all-day hockey and some good matchups today as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. And yes, you should be following us on social media. There's been some fun stuff today. The great photo we retweeted from Derek Wills earlier. Calgary Flames took the train from Philly to Washington after their victory yesterday and did so in style, dressed in 1950s garb. Some of those hats are unbelievable. And the shoes that Johnny Gaudreau is wearing, he looks awesome. He looks like he's about 9 years old, but he looks awesome in that full outfit. Oh yeah, Chris Versteeg looks sensational. Oh yeah, there's some really solid looks. And also, we tweeted out the link earlier today. If you haven't seen it yet, from Saturday Night Live, Chance the Rapper killed it as a hockey reporter, reporting on the Rangers at MSG. It was a really great piece. Let's do that hockey. It is so cold. It was a really, really funny thing. It was good. You should watch. You should watch that. We tweeted out the link at Hockey Unfiltered, the way to follow us. Good games, as I mentioned, on Saturday. There was 13 of them in total. I like the big afternoon schedule with games scattered starting early and then middle of the afternoon, late afternoon. Takes you right into a nice evening of hockey action. What did I tell you about Montreal and Toronto? It was the 100th anniversary celebration of the league. They had the big pregame ceremony and everything. And then, oh my. That was a beatdown by the Toronto Maple Leafs on the Montreal Canadiens. It was nasty. It's going to get hotter in Montreal. They have the day off today. It's mandated. Everybody gets 4 days off a month. This is one of them. Then the Canadiens will leave on Monday for back-to-back games, Tuesday and Wednesday, against Dallas and Nashville. And of course, taking on Nashville and PK Subban, that will just turn it up a little bit farther because that's what you need. We promised quarterly reports. We did the Eastern Conference in the last hour. Let's zip through the Western Conference, starting in the Central with the St. Louis Blues. We'll have more on the Blues coming up in a little bit with Andy Strickland join us, but it's pretty good through 21 games, 15-5-1, started strong, rolling, Jake Allen has been good. Braden Shen has been great. And there is a lot of good about the St. Louis Blues. We'll talk more Blues in a little bit. Winnipeg Jets, second in the Central, 12-4-3. After a couple of games at the start of the season, I don't know if there was a conversation that was held. I don't know if Paul Maurice, their head coach, said something, or whether the Blues just sort of flipped the switch and figured it out, because they had the same problems that bothered them all last season. Inconsistent goaltending, undisciplined play, took too many penalties. Well, after a couple of games at the start of the year, they figured it out. Fewer bad penalties. Connor Hellebuck has taken over in goal. He's the guy. Mark Scheifele is sensational. What a talent. Blake Wheeler, Patrick Laine, Nikolai Ehlers. They can all score. They can score a lot of goals. Jets are the Oilers of last year. Watch out for them. The Winnipeg Jets are this year's Edmonton Oilers. Miss the playoffs, they could do some damage if they keep playing this way. Nashville Predators are 11-6-2, and it has taken them a little time to get going. But Nashville, they had a long season last year, fell short in the final. It takes time to process all that and recover, and they had some roster turnover. They are improving as the year is moving along. Philip Forsberg's been great. Some secondary scoring would be nice and is needed. Kyle Turris is a nice acquisition. Didn't cost them anyone off their roster. They need to spread things out, have more scoring threats throughout their lineup. Pecorine has been good. The defense we know has been good. It's only going to get better as they get healthy. They are moving in the right direction, but they got to cut down on penalties. They took way too many penalties in their game on Saturday against Colorado. They spent almost the entire first period shorthanded, I think. Too many penalties. That will burn them. Chicago Blackhawks are 10-8-2 after 20, and there should be some real signs of concern. There have been some positives too, though. They've tried once again to bring guys back. Patrick Sharp, Brandon Saad. Is it going to work? I don't know. As much as anything, the trading away of Nick Charmelson, I think, has hurt the Chicago Blackhawks, because Keith and Seabrook are both getting older by the minute, and both can't continue to play as many minutes as they do at as high a level as they have forever. Nick Charmelson's trade has really hurt Chicago. I don't know if they're going to make it. Corey Crawford has been great. Otherwise, things would be even worse in Chicago. They're a bubble team. Dallas Stars have had a hellish schedule, especially in the last week. From Monday through Saturday, yesterday, they played 4 games. And Saturday was an afternoon game. Ben Bishop, good goaltender, saved them. Kari Lehtinen wasn't good, got him out, managed to come back and win the game on Saturday. Ken Hitchcock is still shuffling lines, looking for some balanced scoring. I'm not sure if Jason Spezza on the wing is good, and I'm not sure that Jamie Bennett center is good. I still think they're trying to figure out where players need to play. That's going to give them the best chance for success. Their defense has made significant strides since last year. That has helped them. I know there were people predicting Dallas to win that division at the start of the year. Oh, look, they got Radulov, they got Ben Bishop, and they made other acquisitions. Doesn't happen quite that way. I'm not convinced that Dallas is that good. Minnesota Wild have been hurt by injuries, but they have also not played well at times, and they have played well at times. Consistently inconsistent has been the Minnesota Wild. They haven't played to their potential every night and for entire games, but neither have other teams in the Central. Can Minnesota get hot, kind of the way St. Louis did in the last quarter of last season, and move forward? Maybe. Lingering around 500 right now. Colorado Avalanche are 9-8-1 and last in the Central. After that hot start, they've now come back down to earth. Has Joe Sakic received any apologies yet from media mouths that ripped him for not trading Matt Duchene? Didn't think so. Semyon Varlamov has played well. That has helped them, but Colorado is coming back to earth now. to the Pacific Division and the Los Angeles Kings, 12-6-2. Biggest surprise of the year? They are for me. They're having fun. They're playing a more aggressive style. Their younger talent is being encouraged and allowed to thrive. Jonathan Quick has been great. Remember, no Jeff Carter, too, and he's not coming back anytime soon. Lost a couple of home games prior to thumping Florida, but L.A., a big surprise. Okay, maybe Vegas is the biggest surprise because they're 11-6-1. They are benefiting from a lopsided home record, 7-0-1. They're 500 on the road. Still, after losing every goaltender in the organization, to be playing this well and have this much success early on in the year, that's pretty positive. Calgary Flames, they're about where I expected them to be. 11-8-0. I think the team expected more, but Calgary's about where I expected them to be. Mike Smith has been very good. He has helped their record. Good defense, still working on line combinations a little bit. Maybe they're finding themselves now. A good first quarter. Penalty kill has to improve. It's 31st in the league, and if you were with us in the last hour, you heard Derek Wills, the play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames radio network, talking about how bad it was recently. Their penalty kill has to improve. Vancouver Canucks are 9-8-3. After many expected them to be a lottery team, their record is better than most figured. They have some good young players. If you stayed up late and watched Brock Besser, if you haven't, do it. It's worth your while. He's going to be great. He already is pretty good. Henrik and Daniel Sedin seem okay with the reduced workload. Louis Eriksson is still a Canuck, not sure why. They have work to do, but they are better, I think, than many people expected. San Jose, 10-8. Again, only 18 games played, so some of the numbers are a bit skewed. They are still looking for their younger players to take on bigger roles. There's jobs to be had, prominent jobs to be had. Brent Burns needs to score. What's the expectation? What's a realistic expectation going forward for Brent Burns? He's not going to have great, incredible seasons like he did last year, every year, but what's a reasonable expectation? He's got to score more. Anaheim also not quite at 20 games, so some of the numbers are a bit misleading. Anaheim has been waylaid by injuries, big names missing big chunks of time. It explains their lack of scoring somewhat. Their depth on D has helped. Some of the younger players have been able to jump in and help out. But if they can hang in during the second quarter of the season, get into the new year, get healthy, they can be good in the second half. Arizona, I'm jumping over Edmonton. We'll save them for last just because there's so much to get into. Arizona's 4-15-3. They're pretty bad. They're pretty awful. They got a couple of wins now. That's help. But they're a lotto team, and they're going to be a lot of trade speculation about Arizona. Okay, so we'll finish up with Edmonton because there's so much we can throw out. 7-11-2. That's not good after 20 games. What happened? Where were the high hopes? Connor McDavid can't do it all. He's getting heat now because he's not been playing well enough defensively, according to some. He's not your problem. Unrealistic expectations of some of the rest of your roster are problems. Players like Milan Lucic didn't like the contract. Players like Patrick Maroon, who has been touted as something special, he's not. Is it realistic for them to have the same kind of goal-scoring production they did last year every year? I don't think so. 23 and 27 goals, respectively, not a chance. And you can't just have one big line with McDavid and Draisaitl churning out so much of your offense. I know they're trying to split them up, but they don't have enough depth. They don't have enough high-end talent to play with those other high-end centers, Draisaitl, McDavid. So when they play together, they like it because they understand that they can both play at that level. It's hard for Draisaitl and it's hard for McDavid to play down to other players' level. They need players that can play at their level, and there's just not enough of them on that team. Cam Talbot also hasn't been the wall he was a season ago. at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. If you want to weigh in, please do. We appreciate the feedback and comments. At Hockey Unfiltered and at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Fantasy 5 with Stephen Laidlaw coming up later on this hour. Hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. In the next segment, Andy Strickland will join us. A little more Blues talk. It has been all good for the Blues early on this season. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition, here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Before the hour is out, our weekly visit with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with the Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Happy to welcome back to the program. He's one of our faves. He covers the St. Louis Blues for FSN Midwest. You should follow him on Twitter at Andy Strickland. Blues coming off an overtime victory in Vancouver on Saturday night. Andy, it was a nice comeback victory for St. Louis, and I'll ask you what probably every other team in the NHL is asking. Is there a weakness on the St. Louis Blues team? Because they seem to have it all going on right now.
Well, they're putting it together, Todd. Certainly finding ways to win in different ways, and I think that's a sign of a good hockey club. You know, the ingredients you want for a contending team are a legitimate number one goaltender. They look to have that in Jake Allen the way he's played thus far this season. Even though he hasn't played his best over the last couple of games, he still gives them a chance to win every single night. He got back on track in the victory against Edmonton, and then obviously, found ways to have timely saves last night against Vancouver. They have a true number one defenseman in Alex Pietrangelo, who leads all defensemen in scoring, and then is still a plus player. He's +9 on the season, plays big-time minutes, kills penalties, is over the boards in the first power play, plays against the other team's top players, and he's been a good player in this league for a long time. And they have a true superstar in Vladimir Tarasenko, a underrated star in Jaden Schwartz, and then you combine those two players with Braden Shen. They have arguably the top line in the National Hockey League right now, although obviously Steven Stamkos and some of those guys, Kucherov over there in Tampa Bay, they have something to say about that, but they're right there with them. So those are the ingredients you want if you want to be a winning hockey club in the National Hockey League. So they have all those. The biggest weakness maybe for this team is the lack of scoring depth right now. You're not getting a ton of it, although they got some last night with Sobotka scoring a goal. Alexander Steen had a goal in the 2 games prior to that. Paul Stastny had 3 assists last night. So you need more of that moving forward. They're not getting a whole lot right now out of the third and fourth line, but those lines are playing better hockey and doing what they should be doing, killing penalties, playing strong defensive hockey. So they're not hurting the club, even though they're not scoring or contributing on a regular basis offensively. But this has been a great start for a hockey club that had some injuries in training camp, and I don't think a lot of people around the league saw this coming from the St. Louis Blues.
I would agree with you. A couple points that you mentioned I want to go into a little bit further. Alex Pietrangelo, it's nice that he's getting even more recognition around the league. Hard to believe a year ago everyone was saying, well, what's going to happen with the St. Louis Blues if Kevin Shattenkirk leaves? How is that going to affect the rest of the team? Well, Alex Pietrangelo has taken steps forward, not just another step. And by the way, Jay Bouwmeester is still waiting to come back, and that defense core should be even better moving forward.
No, I would agree, and I think Bouwmeester is getting closer and closer to come back. He was with the team on this Western Canada swing, so we'll see how he feels tomorrow when they get back on the ice for practice and see if he can make an appearance on this upcoming 3-game homestand. It's a shame the way we look at defensemen in the National Hockey League right now, Todd, where you get recognition only if you put up offensive points, because the reality is, Alex Pietrangelo, who's had a couple of years over the course of his career where he's put up 50-plus points, or he's been in the neighborhood of 50 points. One year he had 52 for sure. Sometimes you get overlooked, and there's nothing wrong with being a dominating elite defender as a defenseman, because at the end of the day, that's what your role is. And he's been that guy really almost since the day he stepped foot in the National Hockey League. In the last 4 or 5 years, he really has taken his defensive game to the next level, and we've seen that in the playoffs. And the Blues have had some early exits in the first round prior to getting to the conference final a couple of years ago. So even some of his play in the playoffs was being overlooked because the Blues didn't have any substantial or significant run in the postseason. But this guy's been a good player for a long time, and there's a reason why he was the 4th overall pick. Now you're starting to see an opportunity with Kevin Shattenkirk moving on. He's getting way more offensive zone starts, Todd, than he's ever had over the course of his career. And obviously, when Shattenkirk was here, he's going to get the majority of those faceoffs in the offensive zone. He's seeing more power play time. He's on the first power play unit. And, these guys are all good players in the National Hockey League, Todd, as you know. And when you get a chance to be on the first power play on a regular basis, you're starting more of your shifts in the offensive zone. You're on the ice with the top offensive line more than he has been over the course of the last few years. Mike Yo's done a great job of getting him on the ice with the Tarasenko line as much as possible in an effort to, obviously use his mobility on the back end and his ability to move the puck and just contribute some offense from the back end. The Blues are getting a lot of it. Joel Edmondson scores a goal last night. I talked about the lack of secondary scoring. Their secondary scoring is really coming from the back end.
Yeah.
Joel Edmondson has 6 goals on the season right now. I think that's 2nd overall in the National Hockey League among defensemen. So nobody really saw that coming from him, even though he had a great postseason last year and really came on offensively in the playoffs. Colton Parayko is now starting to come on offensively as well with points in 3 straight. But Petrangelo's been a great player for a long time, and now he's starting to produce more offensively, and he's getting a lot of recognition as a result.
Andy Strickland covers the St. Louis Blues for FSN Midwest. At Andy Strickland is how you follow him on Twitter. What did Doug Armstrong know about Braden Shen that the rest of us didn't? We expected that it might be a good fit in St. Louis, but I think this has worked out even better than everyone expected.
Well, there's no doubt. I think, one of the first words that came to mind when talking to Doug Armstrong, because I was at the draft, talked to Doug Armstrong just after the trade was made, was the word character. They thought that he brought some character. Maybe that was an element on this roster that was missing. He has some versatility. We all know he played a lot on the wing in Philadelphia, but his natural position and the position that he always wanted to play was in the middle, and the Blues were going to give him that opportunity. I don't think they expected this type of skating ability in terms of the pace that he plays with, Todd. I think that was a little bit of a surprise, or it has been a surprise, his ability to skate through the neutral zone. You look at the Blues up the middle right now, they're not a very fast team with Stastny and Brodziak and even Oscar Sundqvist. You look at Yuri Laterra, who was here before, who's now in Philadelphia. He certainly wasn't a fast player, so he's given you a big-time upgrade from a speed standpoint. But I think the biggest shock for, at least for me, and talking to some of the coaches, Todd, has been his playmaking ability. Everyone looked at him as a pure shooter. He had 17 power play goals last year that tied Alexander Ovechkin for the league lead. So everyone knew he could shoot the puck, but could he be a true puck distributor? I don't think Mike Yeo thought he could be, certainly at the level that he has been thus far. But, he's got good hockey sense, and he's a good player. And if you're a good player and you have hockey sense, it shouldn't be difficult to transition to play with a guy like Jaden Schwartz, who's among the most underrated players in the National Hockey League going right now, Todd, the way this guy plays. I mean, for smaller players, he's as good as you're going to find in terms of protecting the puck. His tight turns, his ability to make plays off of his tight turns and just really hang on to it really is as good as anybody in the NHL. Now you throw Tarasenko on that line. That's a pretty dangerous line, and they've got it going right now from a chemistry standpoint. So I don't think they expected him to have the chemistry he's shown, specifically with Schwartz, from the very first training camp practice to go along with his playmaking ability and puck distribution. I think those have probably been the two biggest surprises of Jaden Shin.
The other thing,
I keep saying Braden versus Jaden. That's tricky, Todd.
Yeah, I know too many different syllables, Andy. Now the other thing with Jaden Schwartz has been healthy this year, and he's played really well. I agree with you. And you mentioned Vladimir Tarasenko as superstar. He doesn't necessarily get as much attention in the media as others, but he is a superstar, and other NHLers are aware of him and know that they have to keep an eye on him on the ice. I wonder how much extra space having to do that opens up for the rest of the line as well.
Well, I would think so, because obviously if 91's on the ice, you want to make sure you're taking away his time and space. And maybe that does leave guys like Schwartz and Shen a little more open. Schwartz and Shen pretty much do most of the work below the face-off dot, below the goal line. They're in the corners. They're working together. They hunt down pucks. Second and third effort is a cliche that we use around hockey, but this couldn't be more true when you talk about those two players. These guys are workers, and they work hard every single shift. So that's probably a little bit overlooked in terms of the attention they're getting. But maybe it does leave Tarasenko a little more open. Although I would think the team certainly are aware of where he is at all times. At least he should be. He busted out loose a couple of times late in the game yesterday. Had a nice one-on-one play, getting around Alexander Edler. Almost beat the goaltender on a beautiful one-on-one play. Tarasenko is more than just a shooter. He, along with Patrick Laine and Ovechkin, are the three players to come to mind, along with Steven Stamkos, who can routinely score from distance in the National Hockey League. Very few guys can do that without a screen in front, who can truly beat an NHL goaltender from distance on a regular basis. And Tarasenko's been doing that since he stepped foot in the National Hockey League. But he also has more in his repertoire in terms of his ability to be a one-on-one player, to beat you going to your right or to your left. He's got such a quick release, Todd. You just can't prepare for that if you're a goaltender or an opposing defense, and you certainly can't coach it. He's a generational talent in terms of his ability to shoot the puck, and he makes the Blues very, very dangerous, and he makes that line incredibly dangerous with his ability to shoot the puck. Now, they're getting it done 5-on-5. The biggest concern, I think, for the Blues right now, you talk about weakness, has been their special teams. They haven't been at the level we've seen from them in the past. They want to get their power play going and be more consistent from that standpoint and be a more consistent team on the penalty kill, which has been a staple of the St. Louis Blues over the course of the last 10 years or so.
You mentioned that Jay Bouwmeester is getting close to returning to the St. Louis Blues lineup. We know the unfortunate situation with Robbie Fabry. Do you have any info or an update on Patrick Berglund on when he might be able to come back?
The timetable for Berglund is closer to Christmas, and it's not going to be that long before he comes back. And again, he's another player that I wouldn't be shocked to see in the lineup very, very soon. He also was with the Blues on this recent 3-game swing in Western Canada. He's been skating with the team for a good week and a half to 2 weeks now, Todd. So, he's getting very, very close. Now, you're coming off of off-season shoulder surgery, so you don't want to rush it. And with the way the team has been playing, you certainly aren't in position to feel like you're forced to do so. But he's very, very close. He's been shooting pucks. He's not wearing a red no-contact jersey, even though I don't know if he's been officially cleared for contact or not. Obviously, nowadays, with the way the schedule is, you have very few practices. You have a lot more morning skates and some optional practices, and guys aren't running at each other. But I would imagine Patrick Berglund is very, very close. And it'll be interesting to see where they put him, Todd. They could put him on left lane. They could put him at center. I wouldn't be shocked if he came back initially playing on the wing, although Who knows? They've got Oscar Sundquist right now as your third-line center. He may have to slide over or slide down to your fourth line. These are decisions Mike Yeo are going to have to make, and I'll be interested to see what happens. You mentioned Fabry. Fabry would have been a top six forward. Bergman, a certain top nine forward. He had 20-plus goals last year. He's scored 20-plus over the course of his career 3 or 4 times. He's been around that 20-goal mark several times, outside of his 20-goal seasons. And no one talks about Zach Sanford. Zach Sanford was a guy who started to come on late last season, came over in the Kevin Shattenkirk trade. This guy would have been in your top 9 for sure as well. A big body who also brings some versatility, can play center or wing. So it's not just Bouwmeester who hasn't played yet this year, and Fabry and Bergman. Zach Sanford doesn't get enough because he would have been a big part of the team. Maybe not as big of a name as those other guys, but certainly would have been a player for the St. Louis Blues.
That's Andy Strickland from FSN Midwest, at Andy Strickland, to follow him on Twitter. Great stuff as always, Andy. We appreciate the time, and we look forward to having you back to talk Blues again soon.
Anytime, Todd. We'll talk soon. Take care.
You bet. Andy Strickland for FSN Midwest, covering the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, that's some Blues lineup. And imagine if they had been able to be healthy, could have been an even tougher St. Louis Blues lineup. That's why I didn't have such big expectations for them at the start of the season, because those injury situation was so devastating. Patrick Berglund out of the lineup, then Jay Bouwmeester got hurt, and that terrible, terrible injury that Robbie Fabry is going to miss another season. But wow, have they performed well. Jaden Schwartz has remained healthy, getting contributions from their defense. Even young players that were forced into the lineup. Vince Dunn picked up a couple of goals and contributed. Colton Parayko's got a couple of goals for the St. Louis Blues. They're a good team. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, before the top of the hour. This week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, our visit from Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DauberHockey.com, with a little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Take a look ahead to some of the games on the schedule this week. It's a bit of a wonky week with the Thanksgiving holiday. Something else we didn't get into yesterday that we'll try and squeeze in a little time for, that would be the whole discussion and titillating conversation that people are trying to stir up regarding relocation and expansion and stuff. I think there's a lot of people kind of getting bent out of shape about that unnecessarily. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. We're live on hockeyunfiltered.com and the Hockey Unfiltered app. You can download it now. Streaming live on Facebook, on Periscope, on YouTube Live. Back with much more after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com and live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. You can download it now on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, all powered by Primetime Radio. Before the top of the hour, Stephen Laidlaw with us for this week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. If you missed any of it yesterday, the list, the second annual list of Todd's favorite things is up on our website, hockeyunfiltered.com. Check it out. We did this last year and had such an enormous response. We did it again. It's just a compilation of items. Some are hockey themed, some are hockey related, some are not, but just a whole bunch of different products, some gift giving ideas, just some cool things in all kinds of household areas, some travel items, some fashion items, a lot of good reading. Again, some hockey books, some are not so hockey related, but you can check them out on our website. You can click through and purchase as well directly from our website. We tried to make it easy for you. No, we're not getting paid by any of these companies to endorse these products. It's just something that we did last year that got a really good response, so we're doing it again this year. One of the items, of course, are our book of the month from Craig Custance, who now writes for The Athletic, who was with us a couple of weeks ago. Behind the Bench, a really good, interesting look at NHL coaches. That's just one of the items on the list. You can go and check some of them out as well. There's cool pairs of gloves. In fact, I just got a new pair of mechanics wear gloves. It's one of the products. You can check them out there. It's really good stuff. Todd's favorite things. The list is up on our website. One of the stories that was getting a lot of attention earlier on in the week, it kind of quieted down near the end. There apparently was some group that was trying to stir up and whack the hornet's nest of expansion yet again. That the NHL and becoming a league of 32 teams at some point, and at some point they will. It seems inevitable that you want a symmetric league of 16 teams, and there's markets that are viable. Some made a big deal about Commissioner Bettman meeting with the new owner of the Houston Rockets NBA team because he said, it might be good to have an NHL team to help fill up dates in my building. So, okay. Is that really a big deal? No. Slow your roll just a little bit. Think for a second. If you are the head of a multi-billion-dollar company, as the NHL commissioner is, that's what the NHL is. A multi-billion-dollar company. And someone reaches out through their representatives to your representatives that they might be interested in having kind of a big picture meeting about a potential franchise. It might be a good business opportunity for both. You're both on top of billion-dollar companies. So if you're the commissioner and somebody says, hey, we might be interested in this, you have coffee with them, you have lunch with them, you have a meeting. But for those that are immediately reading into this, that the process is on the front burner and it's definitely going to be happening, and Houston is now the front runner for expansion. That is way too big a leap to make. Even if the league does expand, and it will, again, one day, think about how long a process it was for Vegas. They have just started their inaugural season. They're a quarter of the way in. There was talk about Vegas and meetings and discussion that went on for years prior to the actual application process. All kinds of meetings, all kinds of discussions, then a vote by the ownership group to say, all right, we will look at applications. And this is not a one-pager. They had to have a season ticket campaign, see how successful that was, then go through the process of application. all kinds of financial information, all kinds of paperwork needs to be filled out. This is not like doing an online application for a credit card. This is a big, complicated transaction. Sure, the league would like to have 32 teams and be symmetric and have 16 in the East and 16 in the West, and it's true, but it's not the only reason to expand. You don't want to do anything that takes away from what you've got. Yes, there are some franchises as well right now that aren't as healthy as you would like them to be. So you have to take that into consideration. And you have to take into consideration that you can say, sure, it's great. Don't you want $500 million or whatever the amount is for an expansion fee? Sure. It's nice to have a big check delivered. But you also have to look at the giant long-term financial implications of having that team come into the league, and are they going to be a contributor to the league and not be one that accepts financial assistance from the league, that doesn't take equalization payments. You want them adding to the pile. You don't want them subtracting from it. So yeah, if somebody who is a billionaire and just bought a professional sports franchise thinks that, as part of this enterprise, it might be good to have a co-tenant in the building along with my basketball team, and maybe I can reach out through my representatives to another league's representative to have a discussion. Broad strokes, big picture. What's the other one? Blue sky thinking. That's the other one that HR people and consultants and stuff like to use. You want to have that kind of discussion. Nothing formal, but how long would it take? How big a deal is it? What kind of money are we talking about? That's a conversation. It's like somebody asking you to invest in a business, but on a much bigger scale. And if you're the head of a multi-billion-dollar sports league, don't you always want to be looking for people that have a lot of money that could benefit your league? So it makes sense for you to have an option. Because one day you are going to want to expand to 32 teams. It also makes sense to have an ace in the hole. If you're the commissioner of a multi-billion-dollar business, and there's a couple of cities that have had some struggles, well documented, Panthers, Avalanche, Hurricanes, and all for various reasons, don't you want to have options available? If in the case, there does come a point where relocation is necessary. This league has demonstrated they are committed to only moving franchises as a last resort if there is no other option. If you doubt that for a second, I point you at the Arizona Coyotes. You cannot deny that. But if you're the guy in charge, you absolutely 100% want an ace in the hole just in case. You want a soft landing spot if it does come to that one day. Maybe it's expansion. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's relocation. But you don't want to move a team unless it's absolutely necessary. There's people that are spewing out things and talking and suggesting things like it's a fantasy league. It's not a fantasy team and it's not a fantasy league. Oh, you should move this team here and you should move this team there and everything would be fine. Well, no, it wouldn't necessarily be fine because you still have the same questions. Oh, just move this team. That's not really fair to the rest of your fan base, and this is not the way you operate a professional sports league. Oh, they should just move that team. They can't sell enough tickets. It looks bad on TV when there's empty seats. Yeah, sure. But you don't know the whole picture. You don't know what their lease arrangement is. Do they own the building? How many other events are in that building? Oh, they should just move that team. Get rid of them. It doesn't look good. You're right. But there's other buildings that do sell out that also have bad nights and don't look good. See, the Detroit a couple of nights ago was a lot of red seats. And sure, you can say it's because everybody's wandering around the concourse and looking at the cool new building. There's a lot of no-shows too. It's not just about season tickets, number of tickets sold. And you're right, you want to sell them all. It's a gate-driven league. But to just suggest, oh, move this team here, and everything will be fine. Short-sighted. You have to think in a much longer term, as opposed to, well, if we move this team here and this team here, by next season, everything will be great. No, it won't. It's also a complicated process to move teams. So don't get caught up in this mythological hysteria that, oh yeah, there's a big meeting taking place and it's going to happen and Houston's the front runner now. No. Slow your roll just a little bit. There is a long way to go before there's even any consideration. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports on Twitter and Instagram if you want to weigh in. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. In our final segment, our weekly visit with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. He'll have this week's Fantasy 5. Hashtag Fantasy 5, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Look ahead to some of the games coming up this week and much more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Sunday edition. Man, this day has flown by. Oh, it has been a busy couple of hours. We'll be back to do it again next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com and on the Hockey Unfiltered app, which you can download now at the App Store. It is that time again, our weekly visit with the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, also a contributor to Sportsnet.ca. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Laidlaw, and Steve joins us on the line now. Steve, how are you? Having a good fantasy week?
Yeah, this week's been a really good fantasy week. You know, one of my top names from last week, Michael Furland, has definitely come through for the fantasy squad, and looks like he has some staying power.
See, this is why we have Steve with us every week, and he gives you 5 names to keep an eye on and always provides a little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Name number 1 this week, Sebastian Aho of the Carolina Hurricanes. This is going to be like last year, that as soon as he starts scoring, he's not going to stop?
I mean, you know, we know NHL players are streaky by nature. Even the best players in the league do it. So certainly, he got the monkey off his back this week, and now he's got goals in 3 straight. We love players who shoot the crap out of the puck, and Aho is on pace for over 200 shots on goal again this year. So he hasn't been scoring on a high percentage of his shots, but we should see that uptick as the year goes along. A guy who could threaten for 60 points, maybe not in that. In that dire hurricane environment, they don't score a ton of goals, but certainly the potential is there. His minutes are up this year. Power play time is up. So a lot of potential there. And if nothing else, he offers a high floor because of the shot volume that he's going to provide.
Oh, okay, good to know. Name number 2, kind of an interesting one, but it goes to the point of don't always look at the team record, look at the player. Bobby Lou, Roberto Luongo of the Florida Panthers is perhaps a goaltending option if you need a little help.
Yeah, Luongo's one of the few number 1 starters still widely available in a lot of fantasy leagues. And I mean, obviously he got off to a bad start, and then he got injured. And the Panthers as a team in general are just hemorrhaging shots. But since he's been back, Luongo's been playing really well. He's got 4 straight games with a .930 save percentage or better. So it looks like he's back in the zone that we usually expect from him. So I think that he's a guy who could be very useful for you as a third fantasy goaltender.
This is the Fantasy 5, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis and Steve Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Hashtag Fantasy 5. Steve has 5 names for you every week at this time to give you some help in your fantasy hockey pool. I don't know if it's the cheesy Movember mustache, but Artem Anisimov also starting to score, and he's named number 3 on the list this week.
It's probably not the mustache. It's probably more he's playing with Patrick Kane at even strength and on the power play again. So he's been slotted in at center alongside Kane and Nick Schmaltz, which is a really lucrative spot. We've seen him score 5 goals in the last 3 games, and as we know, he can get just about as hot as anyone, parking himself in front of the net and banging home rebounds and tips. So he's a good net front guy. He's a savvy player, and he's playing with some elite offensive talent. Now's a pretty good time to jump in on his hot streak.
Yeah, I can understand how playing with Kane and Schmaltz would certainly help you more than the mustache. I talked about this player a little bit earlier. I think he's going to be sensational in the league, and that's Brock Besser of the Vancouver Canucks. You like him too.
Yeah, the Brock Bess monster.
Oh, I hope that sticks. Oh, I so hope that sticks.
Yeah, it seems like we're always getting fantastic rookie classes. He's one of the top options in this year's rookie class. He was my top projected goal scorer among rookies. I had him just under 30 goals, but certainly he's on pace for more than that right now. He's an absolute sniper, shoots the crap out of the puck. We love that. He's on pace for over 200 shots, showing some really dynamic chemistry with Bo Horvat and Sven Berchi. They could stand to give those guys more power play time than they have been. They've kind of still been relegating those guys to secondary power play time. If they could get even more than that, he could really be an option who would stick on your fantasy roster for the rest of the season. But if nothing else, I think there's a really high floor with him, similar to Aho in terms of he's going to score a ton of goals and he's going to pile up shot totals for you.
And if nothing else, you can say Brock Best monster for as long as people will let you. So we'll keep him just for that. Name number 5 on this week's Fantasy 5 is Devon Shore of the Dallas Stars. What do you like about Devon Shore?
Again, with some of these players a little bit more off the radar, it's all about exposure to superstar talent. So Shore's been playing the bumper position on their top power play unit, the best power play unit in the league. Almost all of his points this season, and his point total is very high, have come on the power play. So certainly that's a very good spot for him to be in. And recently they broke Sagan off the top line, and he's been playing with Shore recently. And Shore's underlying numbers, I think pucks are going in at 5-on-5 at like a 2% rate for him. But, if he's playing with Sagan, I think we'll see that bump up to a lot higher. So in deeper leagues, Shore's a guy who could rack up some power play points for you and maybe score at roughly a 40 to 45 point pace. Certainly something that could be valuable in really deep leagues.
Nice. That's the Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, contributor to Sportsnet.ca. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter. Good stuff today, Steve. 2 shoots the crap out of the puck and a cool nickname for Brock Besser. Well done. You really brought it this week.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thanks, Steve. We'll do it next week. Steve Laidlaw from DobberHockey.com. If you missed any of the names on the list, Sebastian Aho of the Carolina Hurricanes, 3 straight games with a goal now, I believe. Roberto Luongo of the Florida Panthers, some decent numbers in goal despite the Panthers record. Artem Anisimov, good line mates in Chicago. The Brock Bess Monster. That is a very solid nickname. I don't know if something like that's going to stick, though, because it's so long. It's almost, it reminds me a bit of when Jack Eichel came into the league. People were kind of floating around the Eichel Tower and stuff, which is okay, not bad. But Brock Bess Monster, that's pretty solid. That's pretty good. I don't know if it'll catch on. Maybe play-by-play guys will use it in goal calls a little bit, and I expect Brock Besser is going to score a lot of them over his career, but that's good. And Devon Shore is the 5th name on the Fantasy 5 this week from Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Stephen Laidlaw to follow him on Twitter. Hashtag is Fantasy5. We will tweet it out and put it up on our Facebook page and website as well, as we usually do. A couple of games on today's schedule. In fact, 5 of them. Kind of a nice schedule. Late afternoon start into the evening in the Eastern time zone. Get the Islanders at the Carolina Hurricanes. Nice win for the Isles in Tampa on Saturday. Went out big, held on at the end because Tampa cranked it up in the 3rd period. They get Carolina at a 5 p.m. Eastern start on Sunday. Colorado is in Detroit. Ottawa takes on the New York Rangers. LA in Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. LA, well, they dumped Florida the other day without much difficulty, and they will have a much tougher test in Vegas against the Golden Knights. 7-0-1 at home for Vegas. And Florida continues the West Coast swing in Anaheim, taking on the Ducks. Monday, Arizona Coyotes in Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. Leafs will go for 7 straight. It's Austin Matthews facing off against his hometown team. By the way, saw a promo for a special they are running on Sportsnet on Monday after the game in Toronto, I believe, about Austin Matthews. Stephen Brunt put it together. It looks fantastic. A 30-minute special about Austin Matthews. He's going to be better than a lot of people think. He's a great player. He's a generational player. The discussion will soon be Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews as to which is the best in the league, because Austin Matthews sure seems like he is that good to me. Other games coming up on Monday, Calgary and Washington. I don't know if Calgary Flames are wearing 50s style uniforms, like the way they were dressed traveling on the train on Saturday from Philly to Washington, but that was pretty cool. Winnipeg is in Nashville, a good contest. Jersey's in Minnesota. Anaheim and San Jose, a West Coast matchup coming up on Monday. Edmonton, St. Louis, Tuesday. Wednesday is a busy day because Thursday is dark with the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. And then Friday's a great schedule because we always get a long, full day of hockey. So those that want to shop on Black Friday can do so, but then you get all-day hockey as well, including Pittsburgh and Boston in the afternoon. This is going to be a busy week. It's a holiday week with travel for many in the United States. There's winter weather that's been around, so please do so safely. Be a little patient. Please be safe. If you can help someone out along the way, do so. Thanks to our guest, Stephen Laidlaw, to Andy Strickland, to Jesse Granger, and to Derek Wills. Have a great week of hockey. Happy Thanksgiving holiday. Please enjoy it safely and with your family and friends. Back again next Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.